Hi, dear viewers. I welcome you all to join our live session. Just pardon me a minute because I need to post links to some of my, assigned groups so that everyone can join in our live session and can have their point of view share over here with us. Pardon me a minute because I need to post links to So let me share you my screen. Okay. So let me share you my screen right now. Okay. So here we are. Hi guys. I hope you can see my screen right now. Now let me do a thing. Let me just yeah. So here I'm live on spot. So yeah, it's a nice place. I guess those who wants to rejoin this session, they can apart from YouTube, they can actually join over here. So anyway, this is basically our virtual office space. So you are all been welcome here. And please don't forget to subscribe Forex Wave Experts YouTube channel because over here with time and every week we used to share our live analysis on different instruments, trading instruments that can help you to put aside with your own strategies, and you can have an idea what we need to focus on, what we need to pass out. So these are the things that we actually discuss over the week, that which events will be on our focus, on our eye, and for which kind of sentiment we are expecting from the market. Because the more we can share our point of view, we believe the more we can be very much careful about our trading, right? So let's move on. So likewise, on every week we organize this English session for our global audiences, and for obvious reasons, for our local audiences, we share it on Bengali on every Saturday. So those who don't know how to get the latest updates on our events and our courses, on our Telegram signal groups and channel updates, you can actually have joined in our Facebook group on Forex Wave Expert. Now let's go to the chart. But before doing that, let us discuss about some of the important news events that actually happened last week, and we have informed about all of those the previous week's live discussion. You're gonna have a look at it on our previous week's live discussion on here. Yeah, about this video. So let's just hop back in. So last week we had GBP bank holiday on the very first day. Now on the video I quoted that except for USD, if any bank holiday happens for any currencies, there is a chance that those currency becomes weak. Now for GBP, let's see how it goes. Like on GBP USD, on the very date of, let's just say it was August 28th. Now on GBP session, I hope it's this kind of like that. Before GBP session, on the last phase of Asian session, it actually had a bearish movement of like 40 plus pips. So it's kind of like mild move, but I guess it was a little bit the bearish move was a little bit priced in before in this segment. You see the candles. I guess this bearish move that ought to happen has been actually happened before by the market makers. So that's why it's a very low move happened at this time. Now, if we go to the next day, we informed that we had RBA Governor designate Mr. Bullock's speeches. We have S&P Composite 20 HPI year-to-year news, which actually became kind of like positive, than previous, but it's still on negative side. We had news on CB consumer confidence, which turns negative on the next day on August 29th. So on the next day, when the news happened, we have seen US dollar been become very much weak, and that actually resulted, like, in for GBP USD, it was kind of like 87 plus pips movement. It's a big movement for, on one session, I guess. Now let's have a look back to the gold. Now for the gold, we would like to look on August 29. Yes, this time. Now for the gold, we have seen that on US session, it jumped from 1915 to like 1937. It's a whooping like 200 pips plus movement for gold. So it was a like, much more weaker scenario we had seen for US dollar on that day in the previous week. Now, on the next day, on August 30, we are seeing that the CPI report for Australian dollar becomes negative. Now, on Australian session, or let's just say an Asian session, it was expecting that Australian dollar would have react a little bit negative. Now, let's see on AUD USD for August 30. Okay. So yeah, if we can see, apart from the US session back on that day, we have seen that Australian dollar has actually moved a little bit bearish. Even on the eve of the UK session, it was also kind of like bearish. So, but it couldn't break this level, especially if I can mention, this was its liquidity bullish liquidity zone, and from here it actually turned out that it's go bullish, 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 and then eventually it was sideways on the week. Now let's get back to the calendar once again. Now we had German CPI news, Spanish CPI news. We had ADP non-firm employment changes, which actually turned negative on that particular day on Wednesday. Now, when that happened, so for obvious reasons, US dollar could have act very weak on August 30, right? Let's have a look. Yes, it actually did. Like for gold, the price moved from 1936 to 1948, whooping 110 plus pips in just one session of US dollar. Particularly, if I can mention, it's from 16. Yes. So from on the UK session, that jump actually been happened. On US session, it was actually been sideways. So, but what we can see is that the US session reports been actually already been adjusted on UK session. So this thing been happens, especially on the last couple of days of the month, and on the beginning couple of days of the month, like 3 or 4 days. This kind of scenario happens because this time the investors and the market makers who actually, especially if I can mention the central bankers, when they put their entries, they actually choose this time now because they actually get funds. They can release funds. They can utilize the funds most at this, time. So it's very risky to trade on the last 3 days and the first 3 days of any month. But I guess for this month on the September we are very much optimistic because we had NFP report gone last week, and we're coming to on the way to that. And I guess for the next week, we are seeing a little bit optimistic move. Now we are going to share you our point of view in a very moment right now on. But to those who actually are now watching this live, I would like to request you, if you haven't subscribed in our YouTube channel, if you haven't joined in our Telegram group or Facebook group, please do so, because you will get update from time to time about our performances and engagements with you as a trader, and we would love to know your point of views with us because we feel that this is a global market now. This is the global world we're talking about, right? So we need to stay connected. We need to share our point of views to get more profit from the market, right? So moving on, after the day, I see we had on Thursday we have Chinese manufacturing PMI news. Now last week I mentioned that yes, if Chinese news becomes positive by sentiment, US dollar becomes weak. But this week it happened a little bit alternate. Let's have a look to that. On August 31, Thursday, on Asian session, this news released, and it was kind of like very positive report for China. But at the same time, on August 31, if you can see on the Asian sessions, we see declining momentum established after the news, right? So market actually reacted a little bit, alternate. So that's why when we do any analysis and we share you, we try to give you two both points on our preference sides and obviously on the alternate sides of it, because market may act very much weird in some cases, because we actually, as a trader or even as an analyst, what we can do is just to have an idea and share our ideas according to our experience, according to our strategies that we actually opt. But it's true that in reality we don't actually move the market. We don't know the actual demand and supply, what's been happening on behind the curtain, behind the stories, behind the news reports that we see. So for obvious reasons, we don't know. We don't have the information access to those events, right? So for obvious reasons, the real reason and the real volume even cannot be known. But what we can do is that we can predict by knowing that how it actually been respects or reacts on a very important liquidity zones, how it actually grabs those liquidities. So that's how I guess we can actually have an idea that how the market's going to behave. And that's what actually we do share with you, so that we all can be stay informed. And when we put trades, whether it can be scalping or any weekly trades, we can have a look at it, keep our mind fresh, because we start, if we start the week fresh, knowing these news events gonna happen, and before that, when we see market reacted this way and that way, so with this process, we actually can adapt through a very profitable mindset while trading. And obviously, with these, our FOMO can also be checked. So let's move on. So on that particular day, the market on the Chinese news didn't even on GBP USD, if I can say, on August 31, when the news happened, US dollar becomes strong and GBP USD actually fall at least more than 50 plus pips. So US dollar reacted just actually it shouldn't be. But that's the market, is the reality we have to maintain and we have to admit. Now on Friday, Chinese news becomes positive. Let's see how it reacted. You see, when Chinese news becomes positive, US dollar also reacted positive. So, I don't know how that happens, but that actually happened on last Friday. And when the US news released, well, basically, last week, Friday, NFP actually been shared as a very mixed, scenario according to the financial reports. Like, here we can see that the average hourly earnings been actually got less, even than the previous and the forecast value, for obvious reasons. Now for the NFP, it showed a good sign, like positive sign, because the value is actually more than the previous and the forecast value, right? Now unemployment rate been increased, which is actually is a negative sign. On the other hand, we had ISM manufacturing PMI news for US dollar, and that was positive. So positive, negative, negative, positive. So this kind of mixed scenario had been happening on that particular day. But in market, what actually been reflected? Let's get a look at it. In the market, when we see that after the news been released, NFP, market actually reacted very sharp. For GBP USD, it actually had 115 pips movement after the news release. So it's kind of like huge for GBP USD. For gold, if we can see, it actually did a movement from 1950 level to 1935. So it was more than 150 pips. Now for US 30, if you can say, after the news event, it actually, been listened to like 200 plus points just, after the news. So it was kind of like big move. And in market, we see that US dollar reacted very strong, though in financial reports, we had seen that it had some mixed sentiment. Now, when this kind of thing happens, as a trader, or let's just say as an analyst, independent analyst, what actually comes to my mind at first is that something is happening behind the curtain. Now, what is happening? We actually get to know a little bit after some days or so, like just a week. But uh, let's just connect you with the dots. That why in the earth that can actually even happen? Because if there is any mixed scenario, US dollar can go strong. That's okay, but not at that kind of rate. And eventually, when Chinese news is positive, US dollar could have been acted a little bit weak, in that scenarios, but it hadn't. It actually reacted a little bit stronger. So why that things happen? So we have the answer. So to get back to that, we have to analyze some of the news events of this week. But before that, we are gonna have a look what are the news coming for the next week. Which news is for the next week we're gonna going to focus. Now, on the very first day on Monday, September 4, we will focus on CHF GDP news, and for obvious reasons, on that particular day, US dollar has bank holiday. Now, I have been repeatedly telling every week that when any bank holiday happens, except USD, that currency becomes weak. Now, for USD, for US dollar, when they have bank holiday, their demand increases because it's been reserve currency for many years, and people trust their reserve uh, currency as US dollar. So, on that scenario, when there's bank holiday happens for a day, usually, you know, the demand increases for US dollar on the futures, even on the real retail market. So we are expecting some strong US dollar movement on the Monday in US session. So if we see some bearish movement on the very Monday, bullish movement on Monday, then we expect that there could be some harsh bearish movement we're gonna expect on US session on that particular day. I'm talking about Monday, so we will only engage on trading, especially on scalping, if we find US dollar strong on US session and US dollar weak before or in the mid of the UK session time. So that's what actually we need to focus. When we see that, yes, on UK time and also on the Asian session, US dollar is acting weak, then we can have an expectation that US dollar may become very much strong on the US session. And we can make some money in the scalping of that US session, right? So that's what we are expecting on Monday. Let's have a look to the next day, Tuesday. On Tuesday, we will see the Australian dollar will, declare the cash rates, and Reserve Bank of Australia could have a, rate statement on that particular day. And we have services PMI for Eurozone, for GBP. We have a report for PPI, and we have an important news for New Zealand dollar on that particular day, which is GDT price index. Now, what is GDT report? GDT report is called as Global Daily Trade Price Index. Now, for New Zealand, it's a very good land for cows, because it's barren lands full of grasses, and those cows are really healthy, right? And economically, New Zealand actually provides a good amount of dairy milk related products, chocolates. It could be milk and exports all over the globe, and especially to their one of the good trade partners in US, China, and some of the European countries, even Bangladesh, even India in Southeast Asia zone. So this price index actually expresses concern on how the price will increase. Now, this increased price actually has been good for New Zealand economy, for New Zealand dollar. It's a decreased price is actually bad for New Zealand economy as well as New Zealand dollar. So let's see the graph. The previous value was minus 7.4%. So it's the value is was declining. And if we can have a look at the New Zealand USD charts, we will see that at least on the last month it was declining. Now, now, last month report actually released this day. Now it was actually reacted a little bit, alternate side, and then it actually been actually on the downside movement. So this report is very important for New Zealand economy, trust me. So if we see this report is going to go positive on the New Zealand session, then we will just wait because we will not engage on that particular time. We will engage on US session if we want to trade NZD USD. Because at that time, US movements can have a very impactful move for NZD USD. So whatever the news is, if it's positive, and we see that US dollar is very much, you know, weak for on the US session, then yeah, NZD USD we can buy. We can go for bullish only for NZD if that news becomes positive. If not, if it becomes negative, we will actually look for sell side or bearish turns movements for NZD USD on that particular day. So okay, the live is going on. Let's see the sounds a little bit. Okay, sounds is okay. Now let's get back to the news. Now we have Australian dollar GDP news on Wednesday, September 6th. We have Bank of Canada rate statement at overnight rate news on 8 p.m. on GMT6 time. And we have ISM services PMI news on Wednesday for US dollar. So what could be the impact of these news is if these news becomes a little bit positive, even it becomes like stable, like, equals to the previous value or the forecast ones, US dollar would react a little bit positive on the next week on US session. Because, sentimentally, if on a mixed scenario, US dollar becomes positive, then there is a high chance that it has some good liquidity involvement recently been done on for the US side. So that's actually what makes the US dollar much stronger than it actually should be, right? Now, what confirms these, saying? When we see that, yes, market's been reacting just what it should be react. Like if we think about a strong US dollar movement on US session, then we can have some choppy or bearish turn for US dollar on the eve of the UK session or before on the Asian session, like kind of like opposite, right? That's what actually we have seen in the last couple of days. Like if we see for USD CAD, let's just say for this day, or let's just say for GBP USD, we can say for this day, let's just say US dollar was weak. So on the Asian session and the UK session, it actually reacted as like kind of like sideways bearish movement, right? But when US session happens, it actually go boom on the bullish side. Now on this day, US dollar was stronger. So this is actually what happens on the US session and on the UK session, right? And before that, it was actually been a little bit bullish, right? So this kind of like alter scenario happens in the market. It's a very common thing. Now, if these things actually relates, then only we can engage on the US session, seeing what Asian and UK session behaves. So that's what actually we are informing you to engage late towards the market first on the very first place to know what the market has been respecting, what strategies or theorem it's been want to speak to us. So when we can actually relate what actually market wants to speak to us, we can actually make a decision affirmed, right? Like on Thursday, we have Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Louis speeches. Now we have foreign currency reserves report for Swiss franc. We have French and Spanish 10-year bond auction report, and likewise for every week Thursday we have unemployment claims report on US dollar. But one of the important news gonna release that day because we have FMC member Herker speeches. We have natural gas storage and crude oil inventory report news for US dollar, and also we have speeches from Bank of Canada Governor Macklin. Now, on the very same chain of events, we have speeches from FOMC member Williams. We have speeches from FOMC member Bowman and Mr. Logan too. And we have some, JPY news is releases on Friday on the very eve of the Asian session, right? And on the Friday, we have Canadian dollar employment change news and Chinese CPI news on later that day. So that's the news that's going to release next week. Now, how market is going to react on these news is we already been informed how on the Asian session behavior we can track what US session can behave, and how the news reports can actually guide us that how it should behave and in which direction it should move. So that's what actually we have informed you a while ago. Now, what we want to tell you, some important news that's going to release last week, and from it we will find what if we will try to find some hints that what thing actually been justifies these statements. Now, apart from the news, just look onto some another fact that CFTC charged my Forex fund, the proprietary firm, one of the most popular prop firm in the world, with fraudulently taking over 300 million US dollar from customers hoping to become professional traders. Now, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission today announced it filed a complaint in the U.S. District Court against Murtuza Kazmi, formerly of Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and his companies Traders Global Group Incorporation and Traders Global Group Incorporation, a Canadian business organization too, which was doing businesses as My Forex Funds. Now, there was a complaint against them that they're fraudulently soliciting customers to trade leverage, merge into financial retail foreign exchange, and leverage retail commodity transactions. Now, even if they do so, USA, especially the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and these, there are many financial bodies in US. They have some criterias how they can do the business. Now, if solid liquidity providers is not been set on these, company side, then obviously there is a fraudulent activity. Now, it's a very hopeful thing for us as a trader. We feel that the US government, one of the most strongest government in the world, they actually been put their eyes on this sector. So we will expect some, turns, but in the end, what we feel that there will be some rules and regulations that how this company can be created and how we can excel through, sharing the best out of the information consultancy related to trading charts and instruments, right? So that's the most positive side we can hope for. Now, what we can have a look at is on another news that Chancellor Hunt says UK is on track to have half inflation this year. So they had a very spike on a inflation side of 11.1% last year. Now they want to make it half. So in its August monetary policy report, the Bank of England said prices were still too high. So they want to reduce the prices, and to make sure that happens, they need to check their inflations, they need to adjust their interest rates, and they want to make it, as a target on, to reach on 2% target. So why inflation is high and tough to bring down? It can be say in a very short sense that this is due to because UK businesses are mostly on service sector based businesses, and because the railways, the transportation, the real estates, the education, many other business sector that actually UK have had, and the format has been following through many countries, like in Commonwealth countries and Australia and many other countries in the world. Why? Because those are one of the rules or like torchbearer things that actually they actually put impact in the world as an economy, right? So to make that thing actually continue, we feel that in a UK economy, whatever it has been faced as an inflation, it has potential strength to actually get back. Because for service sector, if any inflation happens, then people would like to need to convert it to innovation, convert it to many new small related businesses, and they are actually been doing that too in the recent days on the public sector reform to boost the efficiency as the government, right? So they actually been working hard the UK people, and their new prime minister, Mr. Rishi Sunak, he's been a very good businessman on the other hand too. So let's hope for the best for the UK, that they can check the inflation just as they are saying in this article, right? Now, what actually we had informed a bit while ago to you guys in this live session, that there could have been some scenario happening behind the curtain that actually we don't know, but we will eventually know in some couple of days after, right? Now, here's the, thing that actually we would like to share. The news has been released on 2nd September yesterday, but the news is like that Australia sending delegation to China to stabilize ties. Now, we had seen some military related pacts and movements with Japan, with US side on the Philippine, from the location on the Philippine and on the Pacific, ocean territory. We had seen some, joint exercises in the very recent days. We actually didn't, China didn't actually been put a very positive impact on those events, right? So that was some kind of cool situation happened. And moreover, we would like to inform that China and Australia is one of the largest trade partnerships nations that actually happened, because as a consumer, both have a good number of people as a consumer. Both are very much strong in their commodity and many other, heavy industrial businesses, and also in innovation. The both of the countries are very much concerned, and kind of like scenario are same on both of them, because China, though being landlocked on many of the sides, is not very much work like a good neighbor on many ways to some of his countries, like India. But on the other hand, Australia, it's like in the middle of the ocean. Like there is no border around it, no country border around it except New Zealand, right? New Zealand is like just kind of their brother, right? Geopolitically speaking. Now, in these events, when these similar like two nations have been on the trade partnership, how it actually been? So we actually asked uh, Chat GPT. I named my Chat GPT as Trishul, so we can have a conversation here, like human like conversation. So I asked him, can you elaborate how Australia and China trade partnership is growing, and what factors are affecting much? Now, they both have complementary economies in natural resources, minerals, and agricultural products, which has China has a huge demand for due to their industrial setups and small industry setups they have. They have resource exports. They have both exchange on education and tourism, and most importantly, they have free trade agreement, which is named as CHAFTA. In China, Australia free trade agreement. That's what it says. And what actually been affecting these partnerships that has been also informed by ChatGPT. So it's a new thing. If you guys don't would like to spend more times on searching articles, reading on your own, elaborating things, just you can ask AI. The new age is coming, so why not just use it? So geopolitical tensions between Australia and China, particularly on issues such as human rights, technology, territorial disputes, this has been actually been affecting. China imposed trade restrictions on certain Australian exports like barley, beef, and wine. So they have identified some products that actually is least important, and then told Australia, okay, brother, we don't want these things from you more, because you are actually been doing some crazy stuff on our oceans, right? Near our oceans. So that has actually been very much fearful for us, because we export many ship vessels that actually carries our product all over the world. So these are the one of the reasons of this kind of tension. COVID-19 pandemic also affected, because Australia actually imposed a large and huge amount of lockdown, moments. They had cybersecurity concerns, economic shifts, and political relation like diplomatic ties. There has been some disputes related to many previous historical issues. So that's also been on the place now to redeem the cool scenario and to make it more warm. Australia sending delegations to China to stabilize ties. So that's how, I guess that's what's a news where the US dollar can get a very strong impact despite there had been much room to make it more weaker, right? That's actually we had seen. Now, for the Canada, Goldman says Canada to skip now at final rate hike in October. Now, if in this inflationary situation we see Canada not rising hikes on September, also been waiting for October, then we can say their economy is in a very stable side. But as the expectation of rising rates becomes actually on a void, so for obvious reasons, I can say that Canadian dollar can have a weak impact on respect to US dollar too. So on chart, if we can see USD CAD, we already seen there is a high bullish move happen right now. If the Canadian dollar becomes more weak, then there has been a more bullish side been expecting for USD CAD. We will share you our point of view on which currencies, on which aspect, and how we have identified these important levels. We will get back to you on that in a very short time after we describe these new scenarios. Now, Fed's master says U.S. inflation is too high, but jobs in better balance. Jobs in better balance. They are not telling that jobs is in on a better place that can actually boost our situation and improve our inflationary concerns. But they are not saying that. They're saying that it's on a better balance pace. So they know that it's also been in a very weak scenario. Now for USD JPY, we have been seeing some of the bullish trends in the past weeks, right? Let's have a look to the chart. Yes, even on the last week, on the last day, we have seen some bullish movement on the USD JPY, though on that particular week, it's been like kind of bearish for the whole week due to a strong US dollar. Now, what actually we've been expecting is that US non-farm payroll for August beat estimates, but unemployment rate misses, keeping the pair in check. Rising US Treasury bond yields lend some support to the US dollar. Now, bond prices has been increasing. That's mean people are buying bonds. The government on different organizations are now buying bonds. They are now buying several, U.S. bonds to enhance their reserve as a currency on U.S. Right. So if that happens and continues, then for obvious reasons we will see USD JPY bullish moves. Okay. So we have a news on soft landing for US dollar. Will it be possible? They are seeing some good positive sign that with the curve, it's been showing some sign that yes, in near days, there can be some possible shift in the unemployment rates gonna happen. Now on the CFTC website, we would like to inform you that we can have an idea on commitment of traders report. And in this report, you can see that how the net position changes and how the market, it actually shares the market maker or, main market participants positions on different, in trading instruments. Let's just see the latest report been released on how. Okay, let's just search. Okay, so yes, say let's just say if you see the metals and other, we can see that this is the report for palladium. This is for the report for platinum. That's for silver, and now it's for gold. Now for gold, on August 29 reports, we see that the overall positions on short is been more than the long side. Now same thing happens on swap dealers. Same thing happens on like non-reportable positions been long still. And so from this, we can have an idea that how the market has been behaving. There is a report like 4 or less traders by gross positions. They are on the short side. They're on the short side too. So yes, that's how we can say that yes, short side is winning for gold. Let's see. We will see. After the newest news side, these things happen, and for obvious reasons. On after August 29, if you can see, we will see some weak scenarios on the gold. Some weak scenarios on the dollar, and a very strong scenarios on gold. So at this time, the retailers actually short position increased, but on the market, for the market makers, the long position increased. So that's actually is the report we can see. So from this report, we can see that yes, the bullish scenario on the higher time frame may have a chance to continue. Now let's get to the chart and let's just wrap it up a little bit, that how we are expecting these trading instruments are going to behave. Now, first of all, let's have a look to the gold. Like last week, we had informed that if gold finds this level as a resistance, then it can go targeted as this and more bearish to that. Now, what happened is that it actually reacted as a support, and from here, we informed that if this level acts as a support, then from 1930 level, we can have a bullish or buy move, and it actually did move 200 plus pips above up to 1952.82 levels. So on this kind of bullish move, we can say what happens in next week if US dollar strength continues. Now, if the strength continues, we can say that US dollar can have a very bearish turns, but for that reason, it needs to have a candle closing for H1 and H4 time frame below 1910 level. And if it does so, then for initial target, we can eye on a price on 1886 or 1887, nearly 250 plus P from the initial entry position. And our TP2, like if we see after reaching this level, market acting sideways and the bullish side is becoming weak, then it can go more bearish up to 1850 levels. But if its recent bullish trend continues, what's going to happen? But that if we find any closing of the charts above 1970 levels, then for obvious reasons, we can have expect a 300 pip bullish movement at 2000 psychological level for gold. Now, if we see that on 2000 psychological level, it creates some panic and then can actually go on the bearish side too. But on the other alternate scenario, it can actually create some sideways movements over here and create some supports, and price can go up. And if it continues to go more bullish, it can go up to 2050 levels, which is actually 500 pips above this on the longer term scenario. We are talking about H4, right? So we are talking about longer term scenario, but depending on the factors on the news release reports, if we see that yes, market is acting just as we are expecting, then obviously we will trade according to the levels we are mentioning. So on GBP USD, we had informed that if any price goes below these levels, then it may go touch these levels and furthermore to this level. Now the thing stays the same. If you find any H1 and H4 closing below 1.25060 levels, then we're going to have a bearish side target to 1.2335, which is 170 plus pips on the bearish side. But it can happen only if we can see the US dollar is on the stronger side. Now, if US dollar is on the weaker side and creates a closing above 1.282 levels, then we can have a bullish target up to 1.2975, which is 150 plus pips above. And furthermore, up to 1.312 levels, which is actually 300 pips above from our initial breaker bullish breaker target level at 1.282. Now, let's go to USD CAD. Now, for USD CAD, we have seen kind of like bullish. If we see any bullish closing on H1 and H4 candle above 1.3685 level, we will expect a bullish movement up to 1.3875, which is actually 190 plus pips from the entry price. Now, if we see that the candle actually eventually been on sideways and it closed below 1.3475 levels, then we can eye for a bearish movement up to 1.3285 level, which is actually also 190 plus pips from the initial energy price. Now, here we can see some bullish sides on this way and bearish side on this way. And for the last 2 weeks, it's been maintaining this zone, as you can see. So this zone breakout is very, very important if it wants to move ahead. Now, for the Australian dollar, we have some couple of news, and for Australian dollar, it's also been like obvious, like it's for the last 3 weeks, it's been maintaining a zone. So if it breaks above 0.6605 levels, then we can eye for a bullish side up to 0.6805 level, which is actually 200 pips above. Now, if the bearish movement continues and we find any closing below this level, which is 0.6285, then initially we can have a target on 150 plus pips below up to 0.6232 level. And furthermore, if it continues to go bearish on the more bearish side, we can target for 0.5975 levels. Now for NZD USD is kind of like stays the same. Now we can have a look for US 30. Now for the US 30, last week we had informed that sorry, that there's a high chance if this level is been reacts as a sideways, this could be the target. And we actually been drawn this level just in front of you guys, and it actually stays the same. So I guess if you see the previous week's video, you can have a look at it. So the market actually had a bearish move up to like 450 points for US 30 last week. Sorry, the last week's previous week. Now on the last week, it actually go on a bullish side, and we informed that there is a chance that if this level acts like a support, then it can touch this level, and it actually did. So we actually informed this bearish turn on 1 week previous, and latest previous week we also figured it out how it's going to behave. Now what's going to happen next week? We can say that if it closes, the price closes above this level, which is 35,350 or something like that, then we can have a 350 plus points bullish movement up to 35700 levels, and from there we can have an idea of more bullish side up to 3600 levels initially, and furthermore 36200 level. This is a scenario on the bullish side. That's what we could expect. But if the price reacts in such a way that US dollar becomes stronger and US 30 is going to go more bearish, then in that case only, if the price closes below 34480 levels, then initially on the bearish side, we can have a bearish target up to like 400 plus points movement up to 34070 levels with here on these liquidity levels. And if we see on 34070 level, if the price becomes a little bit choppy and sideways, so we will see that there will be kind of like weak bullish movements happening over here. So then we can expect a good bearish turns up to 32750 levels on the longer term. Now for USD CAD, we had in problem. Let's move to USD JPY. For USD JPY, if the bullish side actually been continue, then we can say that we will expect some closing above this level, which is 148.4. In any scenario, if H1 or H4 candles closes above this level, which is 148.4, then we can have a bullish movement up to 150 levels. If not, if market shows signs of USD JPY bearish movements, we will stay away from trading this pair. We will go only for bullish if we see the bullish side for USD JPY is on the market. So that's how we can say and share our point of views on different currency pairs. Now on the chat box, let's see if anyone commented whether they have any queries. Okay. One of our participants commented that USD highest is 152.36 if dollar is strong and this level break. Yes, I can say, but 152 is kind of like higher targets. Okay, so initially our target is like 150 level, and after that, if we see some, weak bearish movements, then yes, we can see that the bullish side will be still stronger and can move up to 152.3 level. Depending on technical analysis for really USD CAD, what may happen this week? I guess we actually informed your answer previously when we actually discussed about the USD CAD, because we discussed on how it actually been on the sideways. Now, how we are seeing the bullish expectations we have for USD CAD. And this is how we are expecting the bearish side movement. So let's see how the H1 and H4 closing happens on the upcoming week and in the news events. So after a while, our course classes will continue. So before that, I need to close this session out. So if you have any questions and concerns regarding our market or our course or our any kind of thing, you are more than welcome to actually let us know. We in our Telegram group, in our Facebook group, over here, and obviously you can comment over here on the comment section later on, and you can also contact admin team anytime through Telegram. So moving on, guys, so let's see you next week. Until then, I hope you will all have a very profitable week ahead. Till then, have a nice day and have a nice week ahead. Bye bye.